Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Odin, and in today's video, we're going to talk about the story of the Alan Wake series. But spoiler alert, if you're going to play the game yourself, or you're already playing it and you don't want the story to be spoiled, then here's your chance to just click away. Okay, so to those of you who want to hear the story, let's just dive in. Alan Wake, one of the best horror/mystery games in the industry, written and directed by Sam Lake, the creator of many well-known games such as Max Payne, Control, and Quantum Break. The first installment was released back in 2010, and the second game was just released this year in 2023. A good 13 years of anticipation.
But trapped by the genre, we're all ripped to pieces along the way.
No! Welcome! We have a great show for you here tonight. Alan Wake! One of my
The story of Alan Wake is an entangled one that needs you to really pay attention to the details of the game and the narrative. As you might already guess, the main character of the game is Alan Wake, a famous crime novel author who is pretty well known and has made himself a good deal of fortune and fame through his books.
Did you write these pages, Mr. Wake?
I'm trying to remember it.
You're the killer. The cult leader.
No! You've got the wrong man! It's my fault! It got out!
Wake has a double. Where is he now?
I don't want to be in the story, just write me out of the story!
Before the game starts, he has already written several bestsellers, but for some reason, he's not feeling himself lately and cannot focus on his writing.
Hey, handsome. This is gonna be a long night, but these shots are turning out great.
I guess you're gonna need that coffee then. I'll go put it on.
This brings Alice onto the scene. A caring wife who is deeply in love with Alan and wants to help him with the mental state he's in and to help him get back to work. In order to do so, Alice arranges a meeting with Dr. Hartman, a psychologist working in a small town in Washington called Bright Falls.
I'm Dr. Emil Hartman. I'd like to invite you to stay at Cauldron Lake Lodge.
Did you talk to my wife?
I had the pleasure of discussing your situation with her on several occasions.
Did you set something up with her?
Alan, though, is unaware of this arrangement and thinks that they're only taking the trip to relax and to have some quality time alone. This is how the story of Alan Wake starts, a writer who is inspired by Stephen King.
Stephen King once wrote that nightmares exist outside of logic, and there's little fun to be had in explanations. They're antithetical to the poetry of fear. In a horror story, the victim keeps asking why, but there can be no explanation, and there shouldn't be one. The unanswered mystery is what stays with us the longest, and it's what we'll remember in the end. My name is Alan Wake. I'm a writer.
Alan, thank you for coming here with me.
I love you too. Go on. I'll promise to behave. I'd forgotten there were still places like this. Towns where everybody knew everybody.
Welcome to the Oh Dear Diner.
Hi, I was wondering if you could help me. I'm looking for...
Mr. Wake. Alan Wake. Oh, God. I am your biggest fan. I know people say that all the time, but I really am.
I'm glad to hear that.
Rose.
Rose, I'm looking for Mr. Stuckey. Carl Stuckey?
Carl? Oh, of course, Mr. Wake. He must have gone to visit the restroom. He'll be back in a moment.
Hello? Mr. Stuckey?
Carl couldn't make it. Unfortunately, he was taken ill. But I have the key for you and instructions on how to get to the lake.
Okay.
I wish you a good stay in my cabin. I'll come by later to check how you've settled in. And to meet your wife. I insist.
Thanks.
Pretty ominous. The lady in funeral outfit seems to be too keen on meeting Alice.
Cauldron Lake is a special place. Very inspiring.
But we will talk more about this mysterious old lady later on. Okay, so their cabin was in Cauldron Lake. In case you don't know, a cauldron is a land feature that forms after the eruption of a volcano that might even turn into a lake. This Cauldron Lake, though, is not just like any lake. The natives thought of it to be a gate to the underworld, where unusual things happen. This is in fact true. Weird things do happen around Cauldron Lake. This lake is in fact the hiding place of this evil power, a dark mist called the Dark Presence by Alan himself. This dark presence seems to be the source of the lake's magical powers. The magical power being that it can transform the works of art created around it into reality.
As I was saying, Al, I found all sorts of weird stuff from the local newspaper's archives. This place is crazy! Disappearances, mysterious deaths, urban legends come true, and, get this, most of this stuff takes place around Cauldron Lake.
Well, you ain't wrong, mister. The Indians thought the lake was a doorway to the underworld. I'm the God-fearing type myself. I don't hold with that sort of thing.
This is not true, however.
Okay.
The Dark Presence doesn't just turn the art into reality. It twists it into a darker version of the art and bends it towards its own desire. And its desire is to be free of the supposed underworld and to usurp the whole world.
Follow the light.
But is Alan the first person to have ever stumbled upon this? Well, actually, in order to answer this question, we have to go back to the beginning. I mean, even before Alan himself. The first person to have ever come in contact with the Dark Presence, as far as we know it, is Thomas Zane. Thomas Zane was a poet who visited Cauldron Lake, also with his wife Barbara Jagger, way before Alan did with Alice. Tom was the first person to be trapped in the dark place deep beneath the lake. One day, when Barbara was swimming in the lake, she was mysteriously pulled under and was drowned. Tom was taken by the Dark Presence and his poems were turning into reality. A messed up, dark reality in which the Dark Presence eats up the whole world. Tom realized that everything that is happening is very similar to his poems and figured if everything he writes will become reality, then he can use this power against the Dark Presence and to help Barbara escape.
Zane could feel the poems, taking form, shaping things. As he experimented, he imagined he could almost feel the power surging through the keys of the typewriter. It exhilarated him. But there was fear, too. If not for his young assistant Emil, he would have given it up. But Emil convinced him otherwise. He too had a way with words.
His plan didn't work, because like I said, the Dark Presence doesn't just let you do whatever you want with its powers. And every time Tom tried to free both himself and Barbara from the lake, the story was somehow twisted into the favor of the Dark Presence. The Dark Presence now wore the resurrected body of Barbara as a kind of vessel to communicate with the physical world, and the Barbara Tom knew was gone.
Even with the cobweb she put in my head, some part of me had been aware enough to write my escape into the story, to bring a light into the cabin to release me before I could finish, to interrupt the horror story before the ending, where darkness consumed everything and everyone. Zane was weak and far away, but I had written him into the story and his light had been enough to set me free.
It isn't here now. I'm here because it was written. I brought the light to set you free. You must hurry. You will know I'm here. It will be back soon. It stole the skin of my Barbara a long time ago. She looks so old.
I had woken up, confused and groggy, my mind consumed by darkness and fear. All I could do was to escape. The week spent in the cabin had taken its toll. I was barely conscious and fading fast. It had to have cost Zane terribly, thrown him even deeper into whatever dark place he now haunted. But he had managed to weaken the dark presence, kept me safe that night. I wrote it. It's my fault.
In order to stop the dark presence, Tom tied Barbara to a chair and tore her heart out, and wrote himself and Barbara out of existence, which led to a volcanic eruption that led to the island on Cauldron Lake to submerge in water. While drowning, Barbara was taken by the dark presence, and Tom was taken by the bright presence, two entities that seemed to be in constant battle and neither overcoming the other.
I'm crazy, but that's fine, Barry.
Oh, you got that right, Al. You're barking mad. You are by far the craziest...
But maybe that's inevitable when you deal with crazy stuff like this. It helps. This is happening, Barry. Alice, they never had Alice. She's trapped in the darkness at the bottom of the lake, but she's not dead.
Al, how can you know that?
I know, Barry. I can...
Al,
No, listen. I can bring her back. I can find her. There's something special about this place. The lake, it does something to the works of art created here. It makes them come true. But there's a catch. The dark presence, whatever that thing is, twists it to its own ends. That's why all of this is happening. It's using my manuscript to take over everything.
Al, I believe you.
It happened to Thomas Zane before it happened to the Andersons.
I believe you. Crazy or not, you're not delusional. Weird shit's going down. That's a fact. I'm on board, man. I'm with you.
The Andersons knew about it, but they were too far gone to tell me with all the drugs they were on. But they wrote it down. There's a message somewhere at their farm, Barry. You just need to find it. Look out!
But this is not the whole story. Tom, in his final writings, created a character called Alan Wake, who would one day be drawn to Cauldron Lake in order to defeat the Dark Presence. He completely erased himself from reality except for a shoebox filled with his writings and a clicker.
I'm going back to the lake to finish this. I'm going to write an ending to the story in the manuscript on my own terms, to make it all right.
Why can't you just write it here?
The last page is still in the typewriter. I need to read it first. Everything needs to be just right. Zane tried to cut some corners, and it didn't end well.
Okay, ready when you are.
I'm sorry, Sarah, but I need to do this alone. Barry, take her gun. Miss Weaver, close the door when I leave.
Good luck, Al.
See you later. When I got out, it was warm and sunny. I'd flicked the switch of the clicker. Had it done this? I didn't stop to question it. I had to take advantage of the sunlight to get to the lake. On Zane's page, I had stood on the rim of Cauldron Lake, about to use the clicker. That's where I was headed.
Tom wrote it such that the clicker would be a familiar thing to Alan, a thing his mother came up with in order for Alan to stop having bad dreams and to not fear the dark when he was a child. A switch from a lamp that Tom owned, now imbued with magical powers that amplified the effects of the works of art that are turning into reality.
Okay. I used to have these nightmares when I was a kid. The dark really spooked me, too. When it got really bad, my mom gave me this old light switch. She called it the clicker.
The clicker, huh?
Yeah. If I ever got scared of the dark, I could just flip the switch and a magic light would scare the monsters away.
Oh, sure.
Here it is.
Alan.
Maybe it'll help you too.
Yeah, nice story, writer boy. You made that up right now, didn't you?
No. Seriously.
I love you, even if you are a liar. Thanks for this.
But Tom didn't create a new character. Alan Wake is Thomas Zane. He is just reincarnated as Alan to give himself another chance to defeat the Dark Presence. They are both writers from New York, come to Cauldron Lake with their wives, and even look the same.
The poet. The diver. You look like me. How the hell?
Or maybe you look like me, you handsome devil.
But even before Alan, there are other people. The Anderson brothers, who have their own rock band, also have been in contact with the dark powers of the lake.
But he has no clue. He's not crazy.
They apparently knew Thomas Zane in person and don't even address Alan by his own name and call him Tom.
Crazy's a requirement, Sonny. Who else could understand the world when it's like this? It takes crazy to know crazy.
That's the sanest thing I've heard in a while.
Zane! You're alright, Tom. Hey, we like him, don't we, bro? He's gotta go to the farm.
The Anderson farm. Valhalla!
We wrote it all down, lest we'd forget. A crash course. All you need to know to get your head right. You need to find the message.
Here, Sonny, here's something for you. Gave me a rash, but I kept it safe from these bastards.
Okay, so things are just repeating themselves. A new writer, but the same story. Alice is taken by the Dark Presence and is kept hostage by the Dark Presence and used as motive for the writer to write their escape. However, this time around, Alan has a companion, a mysterious figure in an old diving suit filled with light. This is Thomas Zane, and Alan has written him into the story unknowingly. Maybe this was all planned by Tom himself, to be written into the story of the next artist, as a guardian and a savior. Either that, or the Bright Presence is just trying to help Alan, but is weakened in Cauldron Lake, and is wearing the body of Tom just like the Dark Presence is wearing Barbara's. Alan follows in Tom's footsteps and kills Barbara, or should I say, the new face the Dark Presence is wearing. But he doesn't write himself out of existence.
Now you will never get her back. I am much older than you. Older than your first work of art. I will find a new face to wear. Someone else to dream me free.
But Alan is not taken by the Dark Presence. Or at least, not completely. He is still aware of the situation and knows that he is trapped at the bottom of the lake, and works endlessly to write a story in which he can escape the lake. He in fact is able to help Alice escape at the expense of forever trapping himself in a dark place.
There's light and there's darkness. Cause and effect. There's guilt and there's atonement. But the scales always need to balance. Everything has a price. That's where Zane had gone wrong. There's a long journey through the night back into the light.
Alice? Alice? Oh no!
Alan is just announced missing, and his wife Alice is back living in New York. 13 years pass and no sign of Alan Wake, or anyone that was involved with the things that were happening back in 2010.
It's not a lake. It's an ocean.
Alan, wake up.
13 years pass, and people forget about everything that happened in Bright Falls.
Back to the beginning. We all come to a story with hopes and expectations, looking for an answer. Sometimes it would be better to live with that hope without ever knowing the full story. In a horror story, there are only victims and monsters. And the trick is not to end up as either. But trapped by the genre, we are all ripped to pieces along the way. This is not the story I hoped it would be. This is not the ending I wanted. This story will eat us alive. This story is a monster. And monsters wear many faces.
But the supernatural doesn't stop. The lake still spawns minions, and weird things happen around its shores. So much so that a new Bureau of Control is established to keep everything under control.
Where'd he gone?
But their fancy devices and electronics don't satisfy the locals. A whole cult is made to protect the people of the towns nearby. The Cult of the Tree, run by Koskela brothers living in a nearby town of Watery. The cult tries to protect people by making them fear the woods at night. The cult's purpose is to kill anyone that emerges from the waters of the lake. They know that these people will turn into Taken, a mindless being that kills for the dark presence. A gruesome ritual is performed to stop these people from turning into Taken that actually involves the Clicker. The same Clicker that Tom had given to Alan to help him with his fight with the dark presence. They then leave the bodies and their cult symbols lying around to intimidate the public and make them weary of the woods at night. This brings our next character into play, Saga Anderson, the granddaughter of Tor Anderson, the same Tor Anderson that was once affected by the Dark Presence. She is an FBI agent just like Nightingale and was assigned a case here with his partner Alex Casey. A case about a murder in the woods. The ritualistic murder of Agent Nightingale, finally found dead after 13 years. Saga is the new Alan Wake, a character written into this mad story in order to help the writer trapped at the bottom of the lake. A creation of Alan Wake himself, someone who would come to Bright Falls and get involved with this dark story in order to help Alan escape, which she does, by means she does not yet fully understand.
Crashed on the far side of the mirror. I brought you the Heart Witch. Show me the terror.
Who are you?
What is this? Who are you?
Hear me.
I'm Saga Anderson, FBI. I can hear you.
Cauldron Lake.
Yes, I'm at Cauldron Lake. Where are you?
How to escape. In danger. The dark presence.
Danger. Thanks. Got it.
Hey! Are you okay?
No! It's my fault!
got out with my face! Scratch!
Sir, calm down. I'm gonna need you to take a breath.
He's changed the story. The dark presence. We must stop it before...
Easy now. First things first. What's your name?
My name is Alan Wake. I'm a writer. I've been...
Wake? Where did you come from? You've been missing for 13 years.
13.
But what matters is that the good writer is now out of the lake. But he warns them of a new danger. Scratch. The new face for the Dark Presence. It looks exactly like Alan himself, but more evil. The FBI agents interrogate Alan, and all he says seems a bit too unbelievable. For Casey, at least, Saga is not so sure. She has already been to the dark side, but is in denial because how the story goes, her daughter will die. Saga realizes that all this is just in the story and is still able to remember the reality that existed before all this. Maybe this is because of her special powers. Saga Anderson, a descendant of the gods of Asgard. Surely this would make her unique, right?
We need to talk.
Damn right. Lots for me to explain. But not here. The night's got ears. We can have our talk in your head. You have a room there, right?
How do you know about that?
I'm your grandfather. What don't I know?
Alan tells Saga they need to get the clicker in order for Alan to fix all this, and sends her off to Watery.
Magical doesn't quite cover it. Scratch wants it to bring about his ending. That can't happen. If I can get the clicker, I can send him back to the dark place, make all this shit go away.
While there, she discovers the whole truth about the Koskela brothers and her own life back in Watery as the story tells and as the locals remember. There even is another overlap here in Watery, one that has taken the two deputies, Thornton and Mulligan, and is using them to lure Saga into the dark place. Saga has to cross the overlap again because she desperately needs to find the clicker and save her family.
It's not true. It's just a fucking story. It's not true. Logan's back home. She's fine. Fuck. She's at school. David. I'm in the story and it's coming true. Wake said Scratch would try and hurt me with the horror story. But he said there's still time to stop this. That he can stop this with a clicker.
Hey, this is David. Leave a message.
David? Is Logan okay? Call me back as soon... Mulligan? What the fuck? Hey! Stay where you are. Okay, Saga. Let's get the clicker from these assholes.
She eventually finds the clicker and makes her way back to Bright Falls to give it to Alan Wake. But while she was away, the Cult of the Tree found out that Alan has escaped Cauldron Lake and want to get their hands on him. They think that he will either turn into a Taken, or even worse, that he is the mad writer who is creating all this and want to kill him. This later on seems to be not too far from the truth, but more on that later. This Scratch The new shape of the Dark Presence arrives, and instead of finding Alan, it touches Alex Casey. Amidst the crisis, Ilmo gets his hands on Alan Wake, and as he is about to perform the ritual on him, the FBC arrives and gets things under control and arrests everyone and takes the case away from Agent Anderson.
FBI, drop the knife!
Ilmo?
Suggy, you don't understand!
Kieran Estevez, Federal Bureau of Control. I'll take it from here. Out cold.
Wait, this is my case.
This is no longer an FBI investigation. The case has been transferred to us.
This is bullshit.
Noted. We're moving the evidence and paperwork from your field office to our base of operation at the sheriff's station. Any other pieces of evidence with you? Anything relevant?
The clicker. I can't trust them with it.
Nothing comes to mind.
Okay. Then your work here is done. Hey, you did well.
Wait, my partner, Agent Casey's MIA.
We'll look for him.
He's my partner, damn it!
Agent?
I should be...
Go home.
Careful, moving Wake. They think he's a para-utilitarian.
No. Fuck this. I was so close to getting the clicker to Wake. I'm not done here. Not until I find Casey. Not until my family is safe from this horror story.
Casey being touched by the Dark Presence is a big deal. Alex Casey himself is also a creation of Alan Wake. He even exists in the Dark Place. Not as a caring FBI agent in the real world, but as a detective who investigates homicidal crimes in New York. This brings us to Alan's part of the story. The 13 years he spent trying to escape the Dark Presence. While trapped there, Alan wrote many stories, the most important of which being Return and Initiation. Alan doesn't even remember ever writing Return, but it has his name on it. Initiation, though, is a different story. They are different volumes of a series of books about murders committed by a cult named the Cult of the Word, the leader of this cult being Scratch himself, and Alex Casey being the detective on the case. Alan uses these stories to shift the Dark Place into a more familiar place, where he can go to his house in Parliament Tower and to try to figure out what happened to Alice, and to find a way out of the Dark Place.
I'm calling this exhibit the Dark Place.
Alice. Scratch was terrorizing her. Why?
But he is not alone. A mysterious character is helping him, leading him towards each murder site by calling a payphone near Alan's home.
Hello?
Alan Wake?
Yes.
Do you know who I am?
No? Who is this?
We'll get to that later. There are spies all over. Shadows.
A sense of deja vu washed over me. Had I had this conversation before?
Alan, listen to me carefully. Caldera Street Station, the subway. You need to go there. I'll call you again later. Make sure to pick up.
Do I know you? I know you from somewhere.
You've just forgotten again. We're in this together. Don't worry. I got you now. We've been working great.
I'm losing you. Hello? Hello?
This mysterious figure later turns out to be Thomas Zane. Back again and helping Alan. This is actually the first time we ever meet Thomas in-game, and realize that he is just another version of Alan Wake. But this version of Thomas is not the same Guardian character we know from Alan Wake 1. Either he is corrupted by the Dark Presence, or Alan unknowingly has written him into this place once again. But this time, he was not able to make him an agent of light. Instead, he is just Thomas Zane, a filmmaker, a poet, and a diver.
In this temple of shadow and mist, there's a window in the floor and a door in the ceiling. There's no knowing, am I standing still, or running, or kneeling?
You're the one who's been calling me.
Indeed. I'm Tom Zane. Welcome to the House of Zane.
The poet. The diver. You look like me. How the hell?
Or maybe you look like me, you handsome devil. The diver was a beloved character I played in one of my films. I'm a filmmaker, a celebrated auteur.
I need answers. Why is Return so important? What?
Alan, you always get worked up like this. Come on, I'll fix you a drink. You and me, Alan. We're in this together. Two artists collaborating, remember? Crafting the keys to our escape. Your magnum opus, Return, and its companion piece, my film. Sharing our life-altering visions, a melding of higher minds. Dreaming up our transcendental work of art. Here, in this room, 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 in this room.
It's Return, because we return.
And that is how the magic happened.
Enough of this bullshit. Alice is in danger. I need another murder site to go further. Back to Parliament Tower. Scratch is...
Your wife is safe, back in the real New York. But Scratch is reaching for her through an overlap. Return is the key to escaping the dark place. You need to get it before that freak does. There's a murder site here in the hotel. Let the waves of your writing carry you there.
Hello?
They're all yours. If anyone asks, you were never here.
In the end of every initiation, Alan will need a character to die. And well, these characters turn out to be the characters of the real world. Nightingale, the deputies, Cynthia Weaver, and lastly, Alex Casey. The rite is not actually performed on Alex Casey, but being so close to being sacrificed has made Casey a perfect candidate for Scratch to use as a vessel.
Sorry.
Wake? Is it you?
I'm so sorry.
Did it work? Casey?
Casey! Scratch!
To be the bearer of bad news, folks, but it's official. Tear Fest is canceled. Today, Bright Bright Falls feels a little less bright.
In the end of every initiation, instead of the real world coming into contact with the Dark Presence, Alan is able to make contact with the outside world and talk with Saga to lead her toward her destiny and to encourage her to put an end to all this.
FBI agent. Saga Anderson. I'm closer now. I can feel it. You helped me get closer to escaping.
Wake? Are I still trapped? We have the clicker. We can...
You know about the clicker. It can help us. I destroyed the Dark Presence with it last time. You can help. You can find it. You must find it.
I can get it to you. I have to understand. Did you write the story?
Alice is in danger. I have to stop Scratch. I have to find Return. I need to get back to my apartment. I'm writing a story to get through. Initiation. It's the only way.
The story. You can do that. You can write out...
It lasted only for a moment, like two planets passing in orbit. Saga Anderson was helping me go deeper, closer to escape. Somehow, I had to trust her.
But Scratch does not just idly sit by while Alan is doing all this, and has trapped Alan in his own version of the Dark Place loop. The Dark Place knows of your darkest, deepest fears and insecurities and uses them to break your mind in order to be able to take control of your head and to turn you into a Taken. So many have fallen to this before. Barbara, Cynthia, Nightingale, the deputies, and every single Taken you ever fight. But we know of 4 people who were able to resist these thoughts and were able to fight the Dark Presence. The first being Thomas Zane, followed by the Anderson brothers, and now Alan Wake. Each person experiences these loops differently. Each loop is uniquely designed to break the minds of the host. For Nightingale, it's an endless search for the clicker and wandering aimlessly in the woods. For Cynthia, it was the endless hallways of the dam where she protected the shoebox left behind by Thomas Zane in the well-lit room. For Alan, it is the endless cycle of writing stories where he is at a talk show, and after the show is over, he can wander the streets of New York. After each volume though, Alan is again trapped in the writer's room. Scratch arrives and puts a bullet in his head, and everything resets. An endless cycle of failure. But Alan has persevered for 13 years. For one reason. Trying to save Alice from Scratch. Scratch knows Alan's weakness. Alan is in love with Alice, and Scratch knows that hunting Alice is the best way to torment Alan.
I had seen this before. This was not Scratch. This was me. Caught in a loop.
Remember I said there are 4 people who have resisted the curse of the Dark Place? Well, there are actually 5 people. The last person on the list is Alice Wake. Yes, Alice returned to the Dark Place in order to help Alan escape. She set up a gallery in their apartment in order to guide Alan. Surprisingly, she now has a great understanding of how the Dark Place works. She knows that she cannot be directly in contact with Alan, or else Scratch, or the Dark Presence, will find out something is wrong and reset everything or shift the reality in a way that Alan and herself would never be able to communicate. So instead, she set up galleries and video recordings of herself in their home in Parliament Tower, where Alan is only able to reach through a murder site. The photos, however, reveal an unnerving truth. Scratch is Alan himself. Not that it looks like him, but it is actually him.
I was the one haunting Alice. It was always me. I killed her.
Since Alan is touched by the Dark Presence, it can enter and exit his body whenever it wants. They are two entities with the same body. This realization is hard to bear for both Alan and Alice. So much so that Alice just gives up and takes her own life.
I have made a decision. Most of you won't understand. People call me an artist, but I don't care about any of that. I just wanted to show the world what I see. I can't keep going like I have been. It's time for a perspective shift. To go from photographer to subject. From artist to art.
So after 13 years of torment and anguish, Alan was finally able to escape the dark place by the help of Saga Anderson and Alex Casey, FBI agents who are written into existence by Alan himself. But Alan's escape was not easy. The lake needs a work of art in order to work, and Saga knows just the right people for this task. The old gods of Asgard. They write the song, perform it, and bring the good writer back into the real world.
A whole lot of paranatural crimes happening right now. It's fucking awesome. I want a t-shirt.
But Alan is not brought back into reality in the present time. He is brought back in the past, the same time Saga went through the overlap for the first time.
With the song and the clicker. But he didn't end up here now. He landed on the shore after I faced Nightingale in the overlap. Hey! Are you okay?
No! It's my fault! He got out! With my face scratched!
Either way, this attempt does not go undetected by Scratch. He arrives and is determined to get the clicker back from Saga.
The summoning. That was Wake. Scratch wasn't pretending to be Wake. They're the same person.
He's here! Scratch! Watch out, Anderson!
Estevez, Scratch is Wake with the dark presence inside him. He wants the clicker. Change of plan. I'll lure him to the cell.
The FBC, however, was already prepared for this. They have a cage with big lights to trap Scratch and extract him from Alan's body. This goes as planned. What doesn't is what comes after.
Sorry.
Wake? Is it you?
I'm so sorry.
Did it work?
Casey! Scratch!
To be the bearer of bad news, folks, but it's official. Tear Fest is canceled. Today, Bright Falls feels a little less bright.
I brought Saga Anderson into this story to help me escape. She succeeded. It cost her everything. I'd used Alex Casey in my writing for years. The real Casey had been drawn here because of that. Now he was a victim too. Saga, Casey, Alice, all this horror originates from me. It's my fault. Scratch had to be stopped. I've driven down this road before. Been driving on it forever.
But 13 years of living in the Dark Place and studying its properties as well as the Dark Presence itself was not all for nothing.
If Scratch had brought the Dark Place here, this would take me back inside. In 2010, I dived in, a leap of faith for Alice, with no idea that the cost would be a nightmare worse than death. Taken me 13 years to get out. Now Alice was dead because of me. And I was gonna make that leap again, this time knowing the cost all too well. Another way to look at it, I had brought the Dark Place here with me. I never had gotten out. Maybe after this I finally could. It was a fool's hope. I had no choice. I had to do it. That didn't make me any less terrified. Fuck it.
This is not what I expected.
The Dark Presence now has a clicker and will shift reality to its own will. Alan knows what he should do. He should find Return and write one last chapter into its story.
That's where I had to go, to rewrite the ending of Return.
Sick story!
Get to the writer's room to stop this horror story.
I'll not explain the ending. I'll leave it for you to enjoy.
Alan?
Saga, I finished it. The ending we talked about.
I have the clicker and the bullet of light. Let's do this. I have to be the one to do it.
I feel like I've always been on this journey. Okay. It must end here, this darkness. What lies under the surface now shifts. A play of shadows catching my eye, thrusting my face into the water.
He's here.
It's shockingly cold, past the mirror of the surface. And I will see.
Casey?
The end.
Scratch! Now!
A white, searing light of truth that for a flash pierces the shadows and reveals the hidden horror. And in that moment of silence, the whispered message finally heard.
Come on, you motherfucker! Come on! Come on!
What if there's nothing waiting to be revealed? The play of shadows fool us all, subterfuge to get our price of admission. Darkness not as a monster, but as emptiness. We're none the wiser. No answers, no truths. The hero turns to look inside, is destroyed by what he sees, and is redeemed. Saga said we're both heroes. I'll pay that price. So will she. We are here to kill the monster. I pray nothing comes after this. Nothing will sleep. This is how we win. Is it too easy? What if this is still the dark place? Another dream to wake up from, always coming back to the beginning. The memory of what came before burned away by this terrible realization. Maybe it's a mercy, forgetting. To know nothing when we loop around, back to...
Is it over? Anderson.
This part is just for you. After the haunting started, I got in touch with an organization that was still looking into what happened in Bright Falls. I went to their offices and something happened there. After I got home, I could suddenly remember everything. I remembered being trapped inside that lake. A dark ocean with echoes of myself. My fears, my photos. Inside a dark tide of madness. The same events and images looping again and again. And then I saw a light. Your light. You dove in just as I swam out. You never drowned. And you're still there reaching out. That is what the haunting is. I can see you because I've been there too. I chose to come back to the dark place. That is why I put on this exhibition. I had to mislead you so that I could get you to where you needed to be. The only way out of your loop is destruction or ascension, light or dark. And we've covered the destruction part many times over. And we're getting to the ascension bit by bit. Time means nothing here. You'll still need to go through the loop. But I will keep showing you the images you need to see, the light you need to see, until you're ready. Alan, I think we're getting close.
It's not a loop. It's a spiral.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the whole story of the Alan Wake series. I hope you enjoyed the video, and like always, thank you for liking and subscribing to our channel. And if there's anything that you'd like me to work on, or if there's anything you'd like me to play, then please do let me know in the comments below. And like always, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.